Hey, what's going on? It's Adam here, and if you're brand new to my channel, I just want to say welcome. And if you don't know who I am a seven-figure entrepreneur and CEO of the Smart Business Mastermind. And today I want to share with you why I don't believe in masculine selling. What is masculine selling? It has nothing to do with gender. It has to do with this philosophy and this mentality that I just want to close you. I want to be able to control the sale. I want to be able to get you to buy whether you're ready or not. And maybe you've been on the other end of that. It's that icky feeling like you get duped into buying something because they're using urgency and scarcity and pressure to get you to enroll, and they're not listening to your needs. They just want you to feel worse about your situation in order for you to make a buying decision to move forward. And it's the worst, right? And unfortunately, these selling tactics are being taught over and over and over again from different sales trainers that are in this space, that are having you do this with your clients, and it's something that we no longer need to do. The opposite of masculine selling isn't feminine selling. It doesn't mean that you're soft and just making sure that everybody's good and in alignment. That is not necessarily the opposite of it. The opposite of it is empowered selling. That is where we get to empower the buyer to make decisions out of vision instead of scarcity. And so I want to share with you 4 ways that you can move into empowered selling so that you can not only feel great about sales, but you can also, the buyer can have fun and feel good buying from you, because it's not just about now, but it's also about the long-term relationship, so that you can be successful with your clients and not have them run from you next time they see you because you cornered them into making a decision that they didn't want to make and they don't trust you anymore, right? So, number 1 is we want to lead the buyer to make decision out of vision instead of scarcity. I want you to imagine for a second that you were going to buy a piece of real estate. The realtor leads you into the kitchen, and they lead you into the master bedroom. What are you doing as you're walking through this house? You're visualizing yourself in it. You're visualizing the master bedroom, and if you could see yourself living in it. You're visualizing yourself in the kitchen, and if you can have meals with your family, and you go into the patio and ask yourself if this is a backyard that you can see yourself enjoying family time with and creating memories with. What the realtor's doing is they're getting you to experience the vision of the home, and that's what you want to do as well, because you're trying to make a decision in your mind. You're trying to live in the house and experience the feelings before you say yes to buying it, so that you know if it's something you really want. And so the opposite is if the realtor were to say, I want you to imagine that if you don't buy this house, you're going to go back to the house that you came from. Imagine if the realtor sold you like that, right? That's how people sell today. They try to get you to focus on what you don't have, and they try to take away the vision from you and say, if you don't buy this, then you're going to get stuck with where you're at. And instead, we need to empower people the way almost like a realtor does, to get you to feel the house, right? So think about the services you sell. How can you get your buyer to feel the results? Get them to feel the emotions of having it, getting them to see the reality of what this could mean for them, how this could benefit them, so that they can be empowered to make decisions out of vision and not out of scarcity. See, when you sell out of vision, you need less convincing, and it's more about clarity, giving them clarity of what this result can be like, so that they can make the decision of, do I want to be able, is it worth the resources to be able to experience this result? And now you get to walk them through the second step. So the second step is we need to move them into self-assessment. See, one of the biggest mistakes that we see a lot of times, especially with masculine selling, is they don't let the client come up with their own realization of what they're struggling with. Instead, they prescribe the client their problems. So they say things like, well, the reason you're stuck is you're not eating right, and if you don't do this, you're going to stay there. Or if you're trying to, if you're stuck in life, well, the reason you're not getting a breakthrough in life is because you keep doing the same things. And if you keep doing the same things, you're going to stay stuck there. Therefore, you need to join our program, right? So anytime that you tell a client what their problem is, they're going to see you as rude and obnoxious. But if they say what the problem is, then they can own it, and now you're holding space to listen, and now trust can build. And so one of the best ways to do this is by creating a self-assessment. It's by telling the client, hey, I'm going to go over a list of things here that we could help you with, And all I want to do is hear from you on how you rate in these areas. And if you rate really good, then you may not need our help, but if there is some opportunity for growth, then we can discuss it, but at least we can know. And so you're going through, how are you doing with your diet? Tell me about how you're eating on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being this standard, right? How are you doing with your exercise? 1 to 10, 10 being this standard. And so if the client's telling you, well, I'm a 2, I'm a 3, well, then there's room for you to lead them because they're telling you that they have a problem. You're not imposing on them. And this is what great enrollers have the ability to do, is they don't tell the client what their problem is. They let the client tell them areas they can improve, which creates a safe conversation. Then the third thing is, we don't want to jump into selling right away. We want to be able to relate through storytelling. And there's 3 stories that are going to help you with that enrollment process. And these stories are to help empower your buyer to trust, because let's say, for example, they love the vision that you've created and they really want what you have. They have done the self-assessment. There's a need there. So the only thing left is, do they trust you to lead them there? Are you credible? Do you have results? What have you done? And rather than try and prove yourself with all the different things that you can do, tell the stories that showcase what you can do. And there are 3 stories. The first story that you want to be able to tell is when you don't have results yet, because maybe you're newer or you don't relate to the results yourself because you personally haven't done it, but you need to get some clients. So this would be the first story you would tell. You would tell the story of the research you've done. So you would say, totally understand, client. In fact, as far as the results we've been able to generate, most people come to us with this problem here. And this is the research that we've done that we want to be able to lead you through, that we believe can get you this result. And so we're still discovering our process, but this is the research that we've been doing. And you tell the story of your research. Once you get client results, the second story you tell is the story of your client. So you no longer have to rely on the research story, you get to rely on the client story. Hey client, that's a great question. Let me tell you a story about our client, Jennifer. Jennifer actually was in the same situation, and what we were able to walk her through is X, Y, and Z, and we were able to lead her to this result. And so what stories do is they begin to open up the buyer to see the realness of what you offer, which is transparency, and that builds greater trust, and it builds belief in the client that it can happen for them too, without you having to prove that it can happen for them, right? Because the story is doing the work for you. The third story to tell is when you have your own personal experience. Let's say you've gone through your own journey to get the result. You say, client, totally understand, great question. When I was going through this, this is where I struggled, and this is how I was able to get the result. And that is an authority story. You get to tell it from personal authority. But not all the time you have your client's story, so that's why it's good to have these 3 stories in your bag so that you're prepared to answer questions with stories rather than features and trying to convince your way through it. And the fourth and final way is, when it comes to the close, we want to focus on permission, not pressure. And so now you get to be able to ask for the enrollment. So, hey, how do you feel about getting started? Would you like to move forward with us? What do you say about jumping in? What do you say about getting started? And we're able to lead them into an invitation versus leading with pressure and saying, hey, well, if you don't get started now, then this is going to be the last opportunity, right? Rather, we get to move into an environment that's safe and have a conversation. And so as you begin to move more into this empowered method of enrolling clients, what you're going to find is it's going to help you actually have real relationships. And if for whatever reason they're not ready now, they're going to remember how they felt with you, and you'll be able to maintain the relationship for follow-up enrollments, which is very important. Great relationship with your brand for long-term success, and your enrollments are going to be way higher. Why? Because people feel safe with you and they like you and they want to work with you because of how you've been able to listen and hold space, and you didn't try to pressure them or make them buy something, but you were able to empower them in their own agency to make their own decision. And that's how the buyer wants to feel in today's time, because we're well beyond the days of pressuring someone into a sale, because there's too much intelligence today because of all the information we have. So we've got to move into empowering the buyer into the vision for them to see if it makes sense for them. Walk them through a self-assessment. Tell one of those 3 stories that we covered and go into permission rather than pressure. And as you sell out a vision, they'll be less convincing and it'll be more about clarity. So I hope this helped you here. If you loved this, I'd love to hear your feedback below. And we have a workshop on how to be able to create or take your offer from setup to sold out, hit consistent 10 to 30K months. If you want to sit in on that, I'll drop it in the description below. And I hope this message helped you increase today.